Don't forget to click that subscribe and bell icon to receive a notification each time I upload a new video. Hi everyone, it's Mike here, and I hope everybody had a fantastic festive season and are gearing up ready for the new year. So for me, I'm working on a brand new collaboration with my friends Gina and Bea for the ArtsyTrio Facebook group. So we have a brand new mood board number 4, ready for January. So I will turn it over to my other camera and I'll show you the mood board and what I'm going to do based on what's in there for January. So for this mood board, I thought I would break with my tradition for the last 3 months, if you like, where I've done an art journal page and actually do something 3D. I find in doing just art journal pages for these challenges a little bit limiting, so I thought I would just throw off the shackles of a 2-dimensional page and have a go at doing something 3D. So a while ago I purchased 2 brushes, a 4-inch paintbrush and a 6-inch one. So this is the 6-inch one, which I thought was a bit too big at the time to use, but I think for this project I'm going to use it. So the first thing, I've also got a load of MDF and resin cast pieces that I've already done over here from various different molds and whatevers. There's some steampunky elements as well, but there's also some birds and some frames and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to get cracking on this. So the first thing I need to do is to add some matte medium or some super thick gel medium, if you like, onto the brush bristles to get that dried as quickly as I can. Now normally I do this sort of thing overnight, but I'm not going to today. So I'm going to try and just lay them on so that all the bristles kind of stick together, which is going to hold everything in place. They're going to act like a glue and solidify, hopefully, so that the bristles don't go moving around. So I'm just going to just go over the edges. So for me, I mean, this project is probably going to take a while to complete, but for you, I'm trying to keep the footage and everything down to a minimum as best I possibly can. I'm trying to kind of maintain the shape of those bristles, but I also need to put some of the gel medium into the bristles to make sure that when they dry they'll be solid and stay in shape. And again, this stuff, the gel medium, normally when you use it, it dries clear, but when you use it really thick like this, 9 times out of 10 the surface dries, leaving a skin, and then once that's created a skin, the air can't get to the gel underneath, so the gel tends to stay white underneath, so doesn't go completely clear, which is a bit of a pain. But to be honest, if you're doing a project like this and you're going to be adding paint to it later, it's not so much of a hardship. So there's the gel that I've got on the front of the brush. I've gone down the edges, I've gone down the sides, so I'm now going to give that a real good heat and try and set it so that it's solid enough for me to work on. Okay, so I've got the surface dry, but I have come across the additional issue of the bristles being synthetic or acrylic, so when you heat them they are starting to melt. So there's a little bit of a problem there, but that's not too much of a problem, because once I've got this area dry enough to be able to work on, which I can pretty much touch it now and it's dry, then I can build on that. So I just need a little bit more drying time and then I'll be right back. Okay, so that's pretty much as dry as I'm going to be able to get it in a short space of time. So the resin pieces I've got here to my left and to my right, these left ones are all from either Prima Redesign silicone moulds, or they're Prima Thinnabear silicone moulds. So there's a selection of both thrown in there. On this side, there's an eclectic mix of other pieces and other moulds, and these are just a couple of MDF pieces from a set of laser cuts that will be released from me in the new year, called gaskets. So I'm going to just go ahead and just stick these down into place, just to kind of give it a little bit of 3-dimension and a bit more of a base to be able to work on. So I've got my glue gun here, and I'm only using the glue gun for ease, not for any other reason. It's just speed, because you've seen how quickly or how long it takes, sorry, for the gel medium to dry. So for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to use a hot glue gun where appropriate, and then remove any necessary strings or unnecessary strings at a later date. So these are really just used as like foundation pieces. So these are gaskets, MDF gaskets. There we go. So that's just like a foundation piece to lay the other bits and bobs onto. Right, so next one is going to be my big frame up here. So that's going to go on there. So we can add plenty of glue onto that. And as long as it's not getting hot again, or too hot again, using a hot glue gun actually is a good way of sticking them down quickly, because they're not going to get hot again. So it's not going to remelt. So I'm going to need to put something in there just to hold up the face, the lady's face. So we'll stick a nice kind of rose in there, and then we can add some glue onto the back. And then, are you high enough, or do I need a second row? Yeah, I'm going to need a second, I think. So another stick. So let's put that cog on top of there. And you won't see this because it's going to be hidden behind our lady here. Like I said, don't worry about strings. You can always remove them later. There we go. Right in the middle. Okay, so it's going to take a while for me to place all of the pieces. So I will go off onto fast forward, and I'll pop some music on, because this literally is just like watching paint dry. Okay, I think that is going to be enough as far as the structure of the piece is concerned. I've got those beautiful birds on there. Everything's kind of glued and held down. I just need to go around now with a pair of tweezers, which I did have. I've done the usual thing and I've put them down and I can't find them again. There they are. There they are. So all I have to do is just go in between and just remove some of the strings that I can see as and when they pop up. little hidden ones, and they're just literally, they just pop off. Just go in and grab and pull, they just snap and come away. So it's always worthwhile just going round, turning it around and just having a quick look to see if you can see any before you start adding any more paint, or any colour at all for that matter. Okay, so I think I'm pretty happy with that. So what I need to do now is I need to just make sure I've got everything cleaned. I'm not leaving pots with the glue exposed to the air because they'll just dry out. So have a quick tidy up, have a quick clean, and I'll come back and we can start adding some paint. Okay, so I've removed as many strings as I possibly can. I've got some water, some paintbrushes, and I've got some white gesso. So that's what we're going to be using for this one. I'm not going to be using black, I'm going to be using white. So I'm going to grab my little brush and I'm going to start to add the white gesso all over all the resin pieces. Now you can use white, you can use black, it's entirely up to you. It depends on what colours you're eventually going to be adding to your project. And yes, I am going to be adding the gesso to the brush itself. So I'm going to go around everywhere I possibly can, and I'll probably end up giving it a couple of coats because it'll probably need it. So obviously watching somebody paint something white isn't exactly the most interesting thing to sit and watch. So I will go away and do that, and then I will come back when I'm happy. So I may apply more than one coat of gesso, and it's just literally applying the gesso everywhere you can see. And I'll address being able to get down in all the nooks and crannies if you can't get a paintbrush in there in just a little while, when I've come back after doing the majority in the bulk. So I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so to dress the areas behind, I'm just going to mix up or grab a little bit of the white gesso, and I'm going to add it into a spritzer bottle. Just try not to flick it everywhere. So that should be enough, about 3 spatulas worth. Just drop that in, get some water. Actually, it might just be easy enough just to squirt that straight in. That'll do. Pop the lid on. Give it a good shake. And this is the gesso, and then I can just start to add. It's not exactly coming out evenly, so I should have taken the time to actually clean the nozzle properly. from the last use. Just bear with me a sec. I think I've broken it. I've broken the nozzle. Right, bear with me 2 secs and I'll be right back with a replacement. Okay, I'm back. It didn't need replacing, it just needed cleaning. It's because I hadn't done it from the last time. Right, okay, so I'm just going to squirt in to those areas that I'm not going to be able to reach with the paintbrush. I mean, I could have painted beforehand. You know, that's one of the things that you could do if you wanted to. But like I've said many times before, there are so many different techniques and methods of achieving the same goal for most art projects. You ask any 2 or 3 artists and they'll all tell you the same thing. They all tell you something different about the way that they do it. It's a purely personal thing. Okay, so I'm going to carry on adding on more gesso where I think it's needed, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so we've squirted the gesso in, we've dried it all off. It's still just a little bit moist, but that's fine. But I'm just going to let it cool down a bit because it has got incredibly warm with the heat gun being on it. So I'm going to just take a break for a couple of minutes. I'm also just going to go over the handle as well while I can, while it's still kind of like cooling down. So I'll get that done and then we're ready to start adding in some colour. And I can finish off my coffee as well. So one quick last job, painting the handle, and then I'll be back to add some colour. Just clean my brush off first, and then we can get going. Okay, so time to start adding a few colours into the background of the piece. I'll just move my hot glue gun out of the way now that it's done. So if I just do that with my hand, you can see the detail now that's covered. See, the reason I'm having to just shield one of the lights is because if I do that, just turn it off, you get to see it from that side. There is quite a lot of detail in there. There you go. So yeah, I want to start adding the colours. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just add in some dark colours to start off with. So bearing in mind the mood board is turquoise, magenta and gold that we've got in there. That's what's going on. I'm going to start off with just a few darker colours. So these are De La Rowney acrylic inks. So I'm just going to start adding in some blue colours just towards the bottom, just a little bit towards the top here, and these are all just going into the background, a little bit up there, and then what that enables me to be able to do is just spritz some water over the top. He says, did he put the lid back on his spritz bottle? No, he didn't. Okay, and we'll just start loosening that up. You see how just straight away the colour just starts flooding in. Bearing in mind this is just a base colour. and then we'll need to just give that a little bit of time to dry. Okay, so that's the first flush of darker colour into the background. So the colours on the mood board, like I said, are turquoise and magenta and highlight of gold, which is what the All That Glitters refers to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some Americana and some DecoArt Americana paint. This is Indian turquoise, and I'm going to just pop some down onto my craft mat. But I've also got a slightly darker turquoise colour. This is Peacock Teal, again from DecoArt Americana. So it's just another little darker tone of the same kind of colour, if you like. And I've got a smaller brush. So I'm just going to wet the brush. I'm going to pick up some of that light coloured paint. I'm going to go around. I'm going to start dabbing the paint onto the project all over, a little bit at the top as well, down towards the bottom, catching the leaves. Then I'm going to grab some of that darker colour again and just go in there, just mix it up, some of the darker colour and then the lighter colour, just to kind of give a little bit of variation. And then once again I'm going to grab my water and I'm going to start loosening it up and working it into the design. So just loosen it up, let it pool, let it sit, and let it run and drip. Let it do its own thing. Let the chaos loose. Which is a real difficult thing for a lot of people to do. Don't worry about putting a lot of water on your project. You can always just tip it and let the excess run and drain. And I can hear Mr. Bentley coming up to see me. Hello, sweetie. You know, he's just walked right past me, gone straight into the bedroom. It's all a bit much for him, I think. Okay, so the first flush of the blue, that's fine. So what I need to do is just prop that up, just let it drain, and then have a clean up, and then I'll be right back and we'll get the heat gun on that. Okay, so that's the blue, so the nice blue base and the blue background. So the details are all starting to come out in that. So we now start to add the magenta, so the pink tones. So again, this is Royal Fuchsia from DecoArt. So again, just mix it with a little bit of water just to kind of get that free flow in. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit where the flowers are. Just give it a pop wherever there's a colour, wherever it looks as though there's a kind of flower. Just as a base to start off with. Let's grab some more. Clean the brush up a bit more because there was a touch of blue left in that. There we go. That's much better. And like I said, this is a nod to the mood board. You don't have to slavishly follow it. It's only there to serve as inspiration, not instruction. Okay, let's grab some water. We'll just start loosening it all up. Let the colour run and mix. Maybe I should just add a little bit at the top up there around the bird. Let's pick some of that colour up. Let's see if we can pick some on the face as well. Maybe a little bit on the birdies. Looks like she's wearing a mask now. Okay, so that's the magenta all dry, and I know it looks all dark and icky at the moment. It doesn't look very nice at all, but don't forget it's still only half complete, so we've still got a ways to go just yet. So I'm going to have a quick break for lunch, and then I'll let that cool down because it is incredibly hot, and then I'll see you in a little while. So it's been a good hour for it to dry out and lighten up a little bit because it was a little bit dark. So now I'm going to start adding the bling. So this is the all that glitters part of the challenge. So I've got Sizzix Luster Wax, so in gold, and I'm using a stencil brush just to go over the highlights on the project. So this will act, you know, like your dry brush. I'll just whip that round the other way, and then it catches the tops, all the raised areas. To add that beautiful kind of luster wax to the project, leaving the colour in all the recesses. And I'm probably going to forget to talk while I'm doing this because that's just what happens. So as you're adding your sparkle, all starts to shine. I must admit, it does smell rather lovely too. You see how it starts to pick out all that beautiful colour. So just all the raised bits. And it leaves all the colour, like I said, in all the recesses. And the gold sits in those peaks. A lot of people are very scared of dry brushing, but there's no need to be scared of any technique. It's the same with anything. The more you do it, the more you learn what works and what doesn't, and like what's the best kind of brushes to use, or that kind of thing. Or what not to use. Because of course learning what to use is just as important as learning what not to use. If that makes sense. Okay, let's do a little birdie. And all that beautiful detail starts coming out on the kind of leaves. Just move that around at that side, that way I'm not leaning over myself. Okay, I think I am ready to call this a day. It's not until you start adding on about the gold luster, the highlighting, that it really kind of brings itself to the fore. And this is one of those things that you can just sit and just keep on adding and keep on adding and keep on adding. It's such a fun process. But I think I'm going to call that a day. So I think I'm done. Just look at that beautiful shine on that now. So there you go. So that is my mood board number 4. All That Glitters mixed media, I won't say canvas, mixed media altered paintbrush for January. So there you have it. A bit of a long process, but one in which I'll do that so you can see the shine in the light. But worth it in the long run, I think. Maybe not the colours, maybe not the colours I would have chose, but I did choose these colours. For this particular project, maybe I would have done maybe more pastel-y colours if I weren't using the mood board to create, but I am still happy with it, and I could still knock it back even further with a bit of white gesso over the top, but I'm not going to, because entering into the spirit of the actual challenge itself, I'm going to leave those colours exactly as they are. So don't forget, if you want to join us over on our ArtsyTrio collaboration Facebook group, then you can do. There'll be a clickable link in the description area below. You can download the mood board as well each month and have a go and share what you create using that mood board as inspiration. And like I've said during the video, you don't have to slavishly follow it. If you use it for inspiration to create anything at all, even if you knit yourself a jumper or a cardigan using those colours, then show us. You know, we're interested to see how you're inspired to create or make just using the mood board as your inspiration. So that's it from me for now. In fact, since it's the 29th of December, probably for the rest of the year. But I will see you again very, very soon. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. Thank you.